There is a lot of bad practice in IT where promotion to a team lead happens as a reward, and it shouldn't be like this.
Quite often we're not taught leadership skills such as how to communicate efficiently, how to receive feedback, how to negotiate, or even how to resolve conflict.
A senior developer and somebody who is very well versed in technology is not the same as a team lead. Not every senior developer can be a team lead. There is a special skill set which needs to be present.
One of the big don'ts of people management is micromanagement.
I trust people will do their tasks in time. Micromanagement is too tiresome for me and for them also. To be a manager is sometimes you need to be bold about some decisions. If you are panicking about everything, then you are not in the right position.
Ivan, welcome to our humble abode.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for being on our podcast. All right, I'm gonna start with the question. So you started with Tolstoy, Flaubert, and then switched to IT. What happened?
Well, I like to read a lot. So I was a straight A student in high school, and I was always thinking, what should I study? But literature was my first love. But actually, I got connected to reality, and I saw that I will have nothing to do with that because I will read all these books, but there is not really work in Croatia for somebody who majors in literature. So I decided to go in more pragmatic direction. I was also talented for mathematics and physics, and then I went to FAIR, Faculty of Electronics, and I finished it after 5 years. It went well, but it wasn't really too interesting to me. So I specialized in biomedical electronics, but never did anything in that direction after college.
Why?
Because I wasn't interested in that. I didn't want to do that. I don't think that FAIR was actually a good choice for me, but it wasn't bad either because I wouldn't be here if I didn't finish it. So if I didn't graduate there. So basically, I was looking for a job for 7 months because I didn't know how to do anything. So I started as a very low level QA, and from there, this was in my first company where I was for a year. Then I moved to another company where I was a QA, but there I got to be a QA lead. And from there I moved to ASEE, where I started as a business analyst. Shortly after that, I moved to project manager position, leading one of the biggest projects in our creation department. Creation part of the company. Then I started to be a delivery unit manager, where I had a line responsibility for 20-ish or 30-ish people. And then I got my whole department. So now I'm business line manager, leading the whole mobile department. So my department takes care of mobile banking applications. You might be using some of them like MZABA or MPBZ. Actually, Unicredit and Intesa Groups are some of our biggest clients, and we are specialized in group solutions. So for group banks where we want to have similar or the same user experience across the group to share as much as possible between the countries, etc.
Right. So ASEE is a global software company that specializes in fintech.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, what are the current trends in fintech, but I think that would be a whole separate hour. So what are the current trends in mobile banking? What's happening right now?
Okay, there are several streams. So one of them is banks are very oriented to digital sales. They don't want to sell anymore through branches because people don't really visit branches, and it gets kind of intrusive when you come to sign to get a new card, and then they ask you if you need a loan. It usually doesn't get well. So basically, they want to do the whole process of digital sales like contracting a loan completely through mobile banking application. You can choose an option to contract the loan, go through all the steps, confirm all the documents, and digitally sign everything and get the money on your account in the shortest time possible. So, and then you can purchase another card, contract an overdraft, or something similar. This is one of the streams. The second stream is mobile banking application as a lifestyle application. So where you can use your mobile banking application to make some purchases which make your everyday life easier, like parking payments. This was recently introduced in Zaba. Then buy tickets for movies, have some discounts, for nearby shops, etc. Then there is a lot of talk about AI and utilizing user data. So this is the future, because there is a lot of conversation about AI, but banks are not really utilizing it in the way they would like to. So basically, they want to move in direction when they would utilize user data. As an example, your transactions to create personalized offers for you. And they would like to collect your data, and in a non-intrusive way, respecting GDPR, of course, and to create some credit scoring, etc. And based on this, to offer you some personalized offers. Then we have some trends like ESG, environmental, social, and governance. And in this sense, banks would like to offer you something with respect to that. As an example, bank notices through your transactions that you often visit gas stations, and then they offer you some discount on the bikes in a bike shop to motivate you for this environmental part, to check your carbon footprint and advise it to you how to get how can this get better. Or even they can move in the fitness direction. They see you use your car a lot, and then they offer you a discount for a membership in a gym or something similar. So using data, and based on this increase sales. So banks want to move from the times where you are using mobile banking applications twice per month to see if you receive your salary or to pay your bills. They want to create a mobile banking application which you would use basically every day. So commercial engagement is most important for them. Of course, for more advanced users, there will be also some trading options like stock markets, but also investment funds. Each of these banks has its own investment fund, so you can easily invest and check the status of your investments.
From what you've said, it seems that product managers have a lot of thinking to do.
Yes, we are in constant, we are working, so we don't have our product managers, we are working with product managers from the banks. And yes, they all want to they all want to be ahead of the competition, and they have a lot of work to do, especially in this discount personalized offers part, because each bank wants to have something better. But mostly the focus of the future, in my opinion, will be smart utilizing user data, use AI as much as possible in this way.
Right, and that's what we need, because I was thinking right now, I think it's been almost a year since I was in a bank, maybe less, so we don't go to banks at all anymore. Maybe if you have, let's say, a bigger loan for an apartment or something like that, but you can get out a loan for a car through an app, which is quite interesting. To get that amount of money such quickly, whereas before you had to go to the bank, send a couple of papers, go through different checks and so on.
Yes, yeah. And this makes the whole process faster, and in this way, banks get users to apply for more loans, so more money for them, but easier approach to loans for users also.
And yeah, and what you mentioned, they're becoming lifestyle apps. And what I've noticed on mine right now is it's summer and they changed the background photo in the app. So, and that was, I was thinking, oh, that's quite nice, because it's usually some, let's say, adult background, which there's nothing there, but this was, it was a photo of an island, I think, or something like that. So it has that personal touch.
Yes. It all started with some very simple welcome your name 5 years ago, but now it's getting more and more personalized, and it wants to help to you to assist you in everyday life.
All right, so fintech is really complex, and that complexity requires high level of organization, and in that term, good management, good people management. And that's what we're going to talk about today, and that is challenges in people management. Quite often, we're not taught leadership skills such as how to communicate efficiently, how to receive feedback, how to negotiate, or even how to resolve conflict. Let's say, all right, so let's start with this. Let's say you're a developer or QA that gets promoted to a team lead. But that doesn't mean because you have a good understanding of the technology and everything else, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be a good manager. So how do you, it's a big question. How do you solve challenges in people management? We can start from there and then just digging deeper.
That can be a case. So there is a lot of bad practice in IT. I saw it in my company. I saw it in other companies where promotion to a team lead happens as a reward, and it shouldn't be like this. So senior developer and somebody who is very well versed in technology is not the same as a team lead. Not every senior developer can be a team lead. There is a special skill set which needs to be present and which needs to be recognized. And this shouldn't be a practice. There is a path also for senior developers to move into more technical roles like architects, solution architect, senior architect, etc. And in case I notice that somebody doesn't have the necessary skill set, I push them more in this direction, not into team leads, because everybody will be unhappy. If I ask somebody who is not skilled enough to lead people, those people will not be happy. I will not be happy because I will need to take care of them, and I want team lead to take care of them, so it leads nowhere. So for team lead, special skill set needs to be present. Some of these things you are born with, and some of these things can be improved over time, but there needs to be a baseline, just for any other job. So I couldn't be a good developer because I don't have the skill set for this. So I'm not patient. I don't like very complex problems for which I don't know when I will find the resolution. And I admire those people who can literally spend days to find why there is a ghost bug on some certain mobile device for somebody in production. I could never do that because I'm very short-tempered, and I would not be able to do that. The same is for team leads. Not everybody can be team lead. So it doesn't mean, so if you're bossy, it doesn't mean that you will be a good boss to somebody. So this is something that needs to be worked on. So when I was appointing my team leads in my team, I was also thinking about the characteristics which I see in them could be improved for them to be good team leads.
Yeah, and then they can just keep working on those skills, and things are going to get better.
Yes.
But it is a bit different in smaller teams and bigger teams. You obviously started with a smaller team, let's say
yes,
4 or 5 people, and now you manage 50 people. The main difference is, okay, it's a boardroom like this, 5 of us, it's pretty intimate, it's, let's say, on a very personal level. So, we can tell, you can tell the developer, okay, you're not doing this good, and you can just give them feedback personally. But it gets a bit different when there's 50 people because it's probably much more difficult to connect with all of those 50 people. So how those two function differently?
Okay, when I was leading a smaller team, there is also a challenge there. Okay, there is a more intimate atmosphere, and people are more friends there, and there are situations when you need to say to somebody who is actually your friend that sometimes you need to give them negative feedback. But also for smaller teams in almost any company I see, the team leadership is not a full-time job. Sometimes you're actually a senior who is doing your job, his or her job, and then you need to lead. So sometimes you don't have time to lead those people because you have full-time job here, because somebody from the upper management thinks that this is not a real job to lead only 3 people, and you should work on something which can be budgeted, which can be sold to client. So this is the challenge here: the friendship part and also the time management part, because most of the time you're doing something else. As for big teams, you need a very well organized structure for this to work, because I currently lead a department of 50 plus people. So this depends on the number. Sometimes we have contractors and students, etc. So it goes up to 60 some of the months. So there needs to be a very well-organized structure for this, because I cannot lead all these people. I need to have team leads in place, and they need to take care of their people. In every moment, it needs to be known who is talking to whom about which topic, and who is making decisions about which topic. And I also need to take care of these team leads, that they are good team leads to their team. I cannot see their one-on-ones. I cannot see their everyday activity, but I need to take care in some way about that. So I regularly talk to my team leads. I see which challenges they have and try to help them.
Yeah, so it's actually, teamwork is built on trust.
Yes.
You have to trust them that they're gonna deliver what you ask of them.
Yes. The whole department is structured on trust. In a sense that, especially in remote work, where I need to trust that they will be working, although I don't see them at some particular moment. But if we wouldn't trust ourselves, if we would need to apply some strict dictatorship that would maybe work for a week or month, but after that people would be leaving,
yeah,
or trying to avoid the rules.
What are the do's and don'ts of people management? I know there are a lot of them, but some of them that come off the top of your head.
Okay, as for due transparency, in any case, so it's the easiest part is to be transparent when things are going well. But I also had a situation when a big client basically canceled their project due to budget cuts. So I had this situation, and I had to communicate it to team transparently. Even when there are bad news, people need to know, so they don't assume. If they start to assume something, panic starts to overwhelm the whole department. People will leave, and then maybe they didn't even need to leave. The things can be fixed. Especially I'm working in a huge corporation, so we can always bounce back, because there are so many departments, so many projects we can switch. So I need to be transparent here. Also, when one important part which I see a lot of managers are not handling well is the performance reviews, salary increases, and connection between them. My personal opinion is that you shouldn't wait for somebody to ask you about salary increase. It should be a part of performance review to say if it's happening or if it's not happening, and why it's happening and why it is not happening. We need to be transparent. If people are transparent, they can feel that they trust to us managers. Things will be okay, even in the bad times, even when there is stagnation. And always we need to be transparent. If not salary increase now, when, and we need to stand between that. So transparency is sometimes I think I would say as a strong do in this case.
Right. Some people don't like performance reviews, but they are helpful.
Yes, but they need to be structured well. So people need to have some, okay, we have yearly goals adjusted to them, not something that's generic for the whole company, because people will not do anything about them because they don't see any purpose. So performance review goals need to be defined according to need of each team member. It's difficult because you need to have a full picture where this team member is and where do you want him to be, and to agree also with that person if he or she agrees with this direction. Okay, so for some combination of do and don't, so don't is definitely to impose a strict hierarchy and dictatorship in this case. So organizations should be flattish in a sense that everybody should be allowed to speak about their domain. And the role of the team lead manager, any kind of management, is to make a decision. When it comes to that, the decision needs to be made. As an example, I will not be the one who will say how something should be done on Android, because that's not my expertise. I don't know anything about it. I mean, I know what they tell me, but I will make a decision if there are two directions. One, costly but better for us in the long run. Other, cheaper but short-term solution. In this case, I need to make, as a manager, as a budget owner, I need to make a decision based on input from that senior Android in which direction we will go, because I know which budget, what are the current budget constraints, and what should we do for it to be the best. So not to impose any kind of dictatorship. So it's flattish, like everybody can say their opinion. I am only the decision maker, but in specific cases. So Android implementation, how it's being done on a daily basis, I don't know anything about it, and I shouldn't know about it. There needs to be trust that Android lead knows what's the best in this case.
One of the things that happens, well, I mentioned trust, and one of the big don'ts of people management is micromanagement, and that's like from hell. Thing from hell.
Okay, yes, that is a thing from hell. Okay, it comes from the trust. So I trust people will do their tasks in time. And that's their responsibility. This is a basis on which we need to work. Micromanagement is too tiresome for me and for them also. So I try to avoid it in any sense.
But some managers do micromanagement all the time. I mean, they have to know what somebody's doing, and they have to check up on them constantly. I think we've all been through that.
Yes. Well, there are some panicky type of personality, and maybe, to be honest, they shouldn't be in the position they are in. So they're at because to be a manager is sometimes you need to be bold about some decisions. If you're panicking about everything, then you are not in the right position, because you then extend this panic towards the team, and nobody's happy like this. I mean, there's a way to deal those people. This is something I often advise to developers, because there are some project managers I noticed are like this. So every now and then you need to ensure them that things are going well too. So when dealing with the panicky, I don't know what would be the best word for a type of manager, you need to tell them let's say twice a day or 3 times a day, I did this, it went well, etc. Also, for them to assure themselves everything is going okay, they like to be asked for help. So even if you need something very, very basic. Can you please send an email about this label, etc.? They'd be happy to do it because they think they have things under control.
Are you a fan of daily meetings?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So
I wanted to ask you that because some people don't like it, some like it.
I like them. So I don't have them currently because I'm leading a department, so it's completely different. I don't have I meet with team leads once per week. But on all projects I've been working on previously, I enforced daily meetings, and after I left the project manager role, they continued to have them. So, but I changed the structure of the daily meeting. I don't like those 3 questions. What were you doing? What will you do? And what are your obstacles? Because they are generic and people find them boring. And then they say, I was doing bug fixing. I will do bug fixing. Nothing blocks me, and that's the end of the conversation. I don't also like I led fairly big teams. I don't like to go person by person. So how was I doing this daily meeting? So I would send a priority email every morning about what are the priorities for that day, because we were working on very dynamic projects.
Yeah, it really depends. If a project is really dynamic, as you said, then it's good to have daily meetings.
Yes. So I would send the list, and then I would set up a call. My daily was, I don't know, 5 minutes long, 5 to 7 minutes long, where we would go through this list, and that I would like to be sure that everybody who were involved in these top priority topics were understood what they need to do that day, and what is their priority, and that's it. So just to make sure everybody understands the priority, and that's it. Of course, on this call they can say, I have a blocker, I cannot do this, but then we would arrange a separate meeting with interested parties, not for 15, 20. In 2018, I had dailies with more than 40 people involved, and then it doesn't make sense for 40 people to listen that 3 team members are blocked. We would organize separate meetings. This is just first morning meeting to set the priorities and to align how we will do the work that day.
Well, that's fine, 5-7 minutes, because I've heard some stories that some of them have daily meetings for over an hour.
Yes.
And they're not that effective. It's not, they usually go through same thing every day, as you said, generic things, which is counterproductive. You can use that time to work, actually.
Yes, those daily meetings are losing their point, and nobody wants to be present in them. But yes, they are not productive.
And how can managers become conscious about that they're not effective? I know it's a bit deep question, but some of them just like them because let's pretend that we're doing something big, instead of, right, let's talk for 10 minutes. Let's see what you're going to do, what you did yesterday, what you're going to do today, and that's it. Let's get on to work.
But sometimes you need, if a lot of people are complaining that you have a daily for hour and a half, and you think it's good, maybe to ask some second opinion. Or maybe when I took over one of our biggest projects, this happened in 2017. This project was in shambles. We had project manager left without any notice, so there was no project manager on it. It was a wild west for.
So it was in trouble because of the management.
Yes, we had a somewhat bad relationship with the client, and the project management went missing. I don't know so didn't want to do that. So when I took over, I was enforcing retrospectives often, but not retrospectives in a sense, let's show demos to each other what we did, but let's discuss about how we worked in a previous period. And the first retrospective, so I asked everybody to write 3 good things and 3 bad things. When we started, all good things fit in one slide because nobody was writing any good things or one tops. And everybody was, and then we had 14 slides of bad things, which I grouped into special, by domain. And then we agreed action points and we started improving them. In about 6 months, roughly, the project looked a lot better. For good things people started to write, we see that things are improving. So open discussion about daily can be one of the topics, or ask for another opinion. So I don't know, if there is a manager whose daily is an hour and a half, he can ask me, hey, what are you doing? How it's possible to have 5 to 7 minutes? Can you please advise? And that's it. Managers should also talk between each other.
Okay, we're gonna switch things a bit. How to manage managers? So how can, let's say, a developer get more from a manager? And in that term, I mean, so micromanaging. Nobody likes to be micromanaged. So how can, let's say somebody's micromanaging me and I'm a developer. How can I solve that with a manager? How can I, tell them, sorry, can you just let me do the work and it's going to be done?
Okay, there needs to be a change in the perception. So there is a perception that only manager can give a feedback to developer. This is not the case. So developers feedback should go in both directions. This means that when micromanaging is happening, developer needs to ensure a manager that no micromanagement is needed in this case, so that the situation is under control. This can happen by just providing a bit more detail about what are you doing and when will you finish and how you are doing it. Maybe use some simpler words because not something technical. I need to implement this. I need 2 or 3 hours to implement this. I will let you know when I'm finished. And then really let them know that you're finished. So not to wait for a question, because this will then again cause micromanager, oh, I knew it. He will not say if he's done, he's lying about something. So try to include them, to explain them the domain, to give them detail how this will be implemented, and then provide feedback. And of course, whenever there is some showstopper, let micromanager immediately. He will be happy to know about it. So the worst thing for micromanager is for him to find out the last that something is happening, and he will panic even more in any future situation because he doesn't feel he has the trust. He can have the trust in developers. So that's that's the way for micromanager. But in general, it needs to go in both. The feedback needs to go in both directions. So if a manager invites you to a lot of unneeded meetings, then you need to tell them why do you, in a clear way, without some words of choice or something similar, that why you are not needed in this meeting. How can this be resolved without meeting? I know developers in various companies who sit for the whole day because they are not saying anything because they don't want to confront the manager. It shouldn't be perceived as confrontation. It's a feedback, it's a conversation, it's a collaboration. So it should work like this. So how can developers manage managers? By continuous feedback, also in this direction.
What if a manager is stubborn and doesn't really want to listen? Because there are people like that.
Yes, but well, you should do your best. But then there are tools. He has a manager also, and there are people you cannot work with. But this doesn't mean that you should work with them for years and be unhappy at work. So then you escalate. Then you should complain to various instances, and if it doesn't work, you should leave the company. That's it. Nobody should be unhappy and tolerate a bad manager.
Yeah, that's true. If you just can't solve it, you have to find another solution.
Yes.
You mentioned that when we had the pre-recording meeting, that ASEE is almost completely remote. You have
On my department.
on your
My
department.
department,
Okay,
yes.
okay, on your department. Remote teams started. I mean, work from home started to emerge more after the pandemic. But for some it's a good way to work, and for some it's not. How do you make it work? Because it's, when we're talking now in person, so it's easier, for us, you can see my hand gestures, face gestures, and so on. But when you're looking at somebody through a screen, it's a bit different. So how do you handle all of that?
Well, a lot of changes needed to be made, but this is something that a lot of team members take as an advantage while they're working, and they see it as a good work perk. So in a sense, they see something. This is something different to the rest of the market, that they can work remote. So when this started, I had a situation as an example that one team member wanted to try living in Pula.
Okay, a different city.
Yes. And because he was living there during his college days, and then he wanted to try it again, so he moved there, and he liked it so much, so he bought an apartment, and he's currently working from Pula completely, and I think that's good for him. So I also have team members working from Osijek, Slavonski Brod. One colleague is currently working from Dubrovnik, etc.
So from all over Croatia.
Yes, they're working from all over Croatia, and this is something that they really appreciate. And the basis is, again, trust in this case. So how does it work? We don't have that much meetings, especially not with camera included, because people find it intrusive. Most of the communication is happening through chats, and in this case, managers need to change their approach to chats. So chat is not anymore writing some formal description, dear blah blah, I need
like
this
an
task.
email.
Yes, like an email. No, this needs to be relaxed chat, like we are speaking currently. In the same way, you are speaking to a team member, discussing maybe sometimes even topics like, I don't know, Euro 2024, etc. To jump in like this. It should be relaxed. Reactions should be, emojis should be included. Very relaxed language, just like it would be in the office. So the call communication needed to be changed for this, and we managed it in the end. It was difficult for me. When this started, I wasn't sure that this is going to work, but now in the end, it works very well. I don't see some team members basically for months, but we still have a good connection. When we see each other, we speak like we saw each other every day before that. As for managers, so to be honest, and maybe this sounds harsh, but I really question competences of the managers who don't know how to work with at least hybrid team. So returning people full time to office is not the way. To go. People got adjusted to this. So these managers should work on their communication skills with remote team members. This is here to stay. It will not change. Okay, we are maybe a bit extreme with people working remote completely, but hybrid work is here to stay, and you should allow people to work from the coast, from wherever they want to. If they want to come to office, of course, but any kind of option should be allowed as long as work is done and there are no communication issues.
It's difficult for some people to accept that, that working remotely. And I think it's mostly with older generations.
Yes, they have traditional views that the office is the place. I respect that, but you shouldn't enforce that to others who don't want to work like this.
Right, because I can, from my personal experience, that I think I've had some more effective days at home.
Yes.
Regarding work, just work for 3-4 hours straight without setting up, And let's say if you're at the office, you're going to talk to somebody, somebody's going to come to you and then tell you something. They're going to just interrupt you in your workflow. So it can be effective the same as your in at the office.
To be honest, it's less effective for me when I come to office.
Really?
Because everybody wants a chit chat, so you can easily get rid of them on Teams. I'm doing something else, but sometimes people in the office don't respect borders, so they jump in.
Or they're not aware, maybe.
Yes.
And I think they're mostly not aware.
Yes. That can also be the case. So I'm productive more from home, but then do come to office. I work 1 or 2 days from the office. The rest I work from home.
All right. One of the things that I also wanted to discuss is managing high-profile clients, the big guns, the big people, CEOs, stakeholders who mostly expect high results and good performance. So how can you handle that? I mean, some of them are really pushy. They want everything to be done now. They want, let's say, something that's going to take 3 or 4 months to be built in 2 months. How do you handle that?
So most of my clients are corporations so big. I don't ever talk to CEOs. So CEOs are some like gods in the sky who we hear about but never have contact with them. Some of them are so high that even my CEO is not speaking to them because we are only a vendor to them and they speak only to other board members, etc. So, but we do speak with some upper stakeholders, and they are mostly difficult to work with. There are some exceptions, but most of them, they want results and they want them immediately. So basically, it's all about politics and impression. So politics, in a sense, you need to know who you are talking to. So you need to know who are influencers on the opinion, because influencers then discuss with CEOs. So sometimes the escalations are coming from top level, board -1 level, or something similar. But you need to know who to talk to calm the upper management, the top management, to calm them down. So this is one thing. This is the politics part. But also impression. When you are talking to those people, so you're not fighting with somebody. You will not go in a huge fight with somebody who is a company who is 100 times bigger than yours. So you will not do that. You will not do that. You need to have in mind they are the client, and then you need to leave as good impression as it's possible. So if you messed something up, you need to say transparently you messed it.
CrowdStrike.
Sorry?
CrowdStrike.
Yes, but then provide immediately solution and some goodwill. How will you manage this situation? How will you manage this situation? What will you give them next time? Sometimes you will need to give them something for free or something similar. But it's all about impression. So you go to influencer, you try to clean this impression. If they are at fault, you will never say them by "you are at fault" and then write something very harsh. I know some managers who are doing this, and this is not a good way. But you need to tell them, okay, this situation was on your side. How can we help you that this doesn't happen anymore? We can even propose how we can help for this specific situation.
Yeah, find a solution.
Yes, to offer a solution. Yes, it's always solution based. It always needs to be solution and some goodwill, some will to for everything to calm down. Sometimes there are very, very difficult client representatives who just want to yell at you, but okay, you need to deal with this. So it will not take forever. It will be stressful, but that's what I'm paid for. So my role is to deal with escalation. Sometimes they will get ugly, but there is no point to pull out a knife or a gun and then to fight.
It just makes things worse.
Yes, it just makes sense. Okay, there is a natural need that if you're right, you want for everybody to know you're right, but in these cases, it doesn't make sense. Maybe that person who is difficult is difficult because his boss is pressuring somebody, the god above is pressuring him to resolve this as soon as possible. He's panicking, and then this is channeled through you, but it's just job, so it will pass. So nobody has an escalation for 2 years or something similar. This takes for a few days. You need to handle it, and it will be all well later.
I mentioned CrowdStrike. How would you handle that? I mean, they're a pretty credible company, and this was their first big mistake. I don't know if they probably had some small ones, but this one was huge. So how do you handle something like that?
Well, I mean, this doesn't happen to me, but this is obviously a mistake in their quality assurance process. So what would I do?
I know it's a big question.
I would identify where it went south, and then I would be transparent what happened and how I'm going to improve this. And I would see what I will do if they are, especially because I think that CrowdStrike will have huge problems if their contracts didn't protect them in these cases, and they will need to pay some penalties, etc. But okay, that's a different story. I would be transparent. We messed up in this part of our QA process. We are improving it in this way. Apologize on every possible way, because there is nothing you can do other than apologize in this case. Offer them some discount on licenses for the next year, etc. Because you need to keep this client and to gain their trust, because you lost it really in this case.
Knock on wood that doesn't happen to you. Okay, I think we managed to solve pretty much every problem there is in people in managing people, and I hope you made the world a better place. You're just closing thoughts to wrap everything up.
So how to be a good people manager?
How can you be a good manager? Yeah. Okay. How can you be a good manager? What advice would you give to somebody?
Talk to people a lot. So you need to talk to your team members. They give you a perspective which you don't have by looking just through budgets, numbers, and numbers of Jira tickets, etc. Talk to them, see what bothers them. Some of the things which can be resolved very easily. Let's say they are not satisfied with, so their current MacBook is not working well. This can be replaced. They have a situation where they have a misunderstanding with their project manager. You can organize a meeting with with the two of them, see what's happening, and then help them. If they have an issue with the client, also about misunderstanding about an issue, put them in a war room, and then they can discuss to see the perception from each other. Sometimes we had a situation where we connected developers and the banks at the same place, and when they saw each other perspectives, it completely changed the situation, because bank marked label error as a blocker bug. And for developers, this was idiotic. How can a label be a blocker? And then bank says, but hey, this is a legal thing. We need to have this label because there is a EU regulation which is saying us that this needs to be informed. Sometimes they need to talk to each other to see why this is happening. So the best thing is to talk to people a lot, hear their feedback, and then work on that. And also at every moment you need to be transparent as a manager, because it will just come behind your back when you are not expecting it. that if you're hiding something, it will get public in the worst possible at the worst possible moment, and then you will have even more trouble. If there are bad news, tell the people, but ensure that you are improving this situation, and they will trust you.
So basically, basically talk to people, don't keep things in the dark.
Yes.
All right, I think that's pretty much it from my side. Thank you for coming on our podcast, and good luck managing people.
Thank you for inviting me.